Welcome to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. In each episode, we're going to bring you insightful interviews and discussions with top restoration industry leaders. We're also going to delve into their business, the strategies that made them successful, and most importantly, the valuable lessons they've learned along the way. I'm your host, Clinton James. I'm also the Chief Marketing Officer at Water Restoration Marketing. We're a digital marketing agency dedicated to helping restoration companies nationwide secure more high-value water jobs. Now, this show, it aims to provide you with the knowledge and tools you need to excel in the restoration industry. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. I'm your host, Clinton James. I'm also the Chief Marketing Officer over at Water Restoration Marketing. It's my pleasure today to be joined by Keith Lewis. Keith, thanks for being on.
Thanks, Clint. Appreciate it.
Now, Keith is the owner of a few businesses in the restoration space. The one we're going to be talking about today is the restoration entrepreneur. So, Keith, do you want to give the audience an idea of the services that the restoration entrepreneur provides?
Sure. So, Restoration Entrepreneur is a 12-year-old company. They originally started coaching just TPA. And over the last 3 years, my partner and I, Corey Hancock, have grown into pretty much every facet of the restoration business. We have different levels of coaching, basically based on time. We've got an entire syllabus, but we don't stick hard and fast to the syllabus. We let the client drive the conversation. We answer as many questions as possible, but we always have a goal. It's helping people with organic marketing, helping people with marketing in general overall, building a business. We've got a lot of new guys that come to us that want to start from scratch. We've got a lot of guys with 10, 15, and 20 years experience that want to build up their books for sale, or they just need help. They're in a rut, but we can take you in many different directions.
Okay. Give us a little bit about your personal journey. How the hell did you end up in the restoration industry?
So I've been in construction restoration for 20 years. And 3 years ago, I wanted to add something on. And I actually ran into Jack Dennison, who's the former retired owner of the Restoration Entrepreneur. He started this, as I said, 12 years ago. But Jack was specifically in one area, that was building TPA. He would help guys get on TPAs, which are third-party administrators. And that's all he did. Then Corey and I took the business over. Jack retired, and we kept saying, guys are asking us a lot of questions. Like, I need to hire a sales guy. What should I do? Or we're having problems with email marketing or AdWords. What should I do? So we just started to add a course on just different lectures or different opportunities. So instead of guys working with us for 3 months to get on with doing TPAs, a lot of guys have literally been on with this from day one. Some guys come on for 5 or 6 months and go on their way and learn what they need to learn. Some guys have us on a consultancy. It all depends on what the client needs. We just have to really help them get to the next level successfully. And then it's up to them. A lot of guys have been with us a long time because we might start off with an organic marketing program. Then they grow a little bit. They need a salesperson. We help them with that. Then they start hiring more people. Corey and I have been in the industry a long time. We have job descriptions ready to go. What type of people fit that match the best? Like, perfect example of salespeople. We have an outline for what's best for somebody. We don't like to always hire people that have resto background. So we have different types of candidates with different types of personality to say, if you see this kind of guy, take them. They're good. We've seen them do well. So we help them cater to their own needs and hire specific people for specific positions. Keep going after that, might be marketing. We also do site, for example, right now we got a guy that's in Texas, got a $450,000 fire job. He's been a contractor for a long time, but he's only been in resto for like a year. Had a lot of different unique characteristics, very expensive home, almost a $500,000 resto job. The home was spray foam, also had a lot of stone on the interior. So they were doing a lot of things internally. We came up with a plan that worked with the foam supplier on how to remediate the foam, how to encapsulate what was there, how to put it back, just a lot of different things like that. So we'll work with somebody too. You pick up a big job, whether it's residential or commercial, and you might have oversold the job a little bit, which we all do, but then we help you quote it properly and get that job positioned correctly to make good margin, but also do the right thing. Get it taken care of correctly so that you make it through inspections and everything meets code and everything meets the requirements by the insurance company.
Since you were physically located in Florida and Corey, I believe, is located in Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you guys handle working with a restoration company on a project remotely? Is it a lot of phone calls? Is it a lot of Zoom meetings?
A lot of phone calls. And believe it or not, we've done business in every one of the 50 states. And right now we've got a lot of clients in California, Texas. For some reason, we have a bunch up in the Minnesota, Minneapolis area. And then we've got people all over the country. We have a couple guys in Hawaii. And basically what it breaks down to is this. Every once in a while, Corey will go out and see guys. Typically, I do everything, since it's mostly marketing that I handle, over the phone and Zooms.
Okay.
But Corey has really done a great job, especially with newer guys. So if we have somebody that, for example, and we'll get into this more on, who fits the best with the program, but we have a lot of carpet cleaners that come to us, a lot of plumbers that see the profitability because they're sourcing jobs for resto guys for so many years.
Right.
And finally they realize, why am I sending this stuff out? I'm giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars, but what do I do? That's where we enter. We'll help you through it with procedures, with personnel, just with general questions. And back to your original question, we have somebody up in the Minnesota area, came to us as a plumber. He's grown his business significantly over the last couple of years. And what he would do, and this is where Corey started it all, he'd literally close a deal. He'd get a lead from you guys, for example. They would get a lead that comes in, he'd call Corey, say, Corey, got a lead. We got some water damage in this customer's house. Go to the house, meet and greet the customer, say, hey, thank you. And literally say, if the customer's there, hey, do you mind if I get my office manager on the phone? No problem. Corey gets on. He's the office manager, walks him through the whole job. They FaceTime, use a video camera, walk through, look what we have over here. We've got some water intrusion here. Maybe we've got some mold there. This is what we've got going on. And then they'll literally talk with the homeowner in the room, say, you need this much drying equipment, or, this is what we need as far as the technical aspect of the job. We can help you with your insurance if you'd like us to. We're here for that as well. Then basically he'll walk out, get in the truck and say, all right, Corey, what do I need to do? You need to do an estimate for this, this, and this. Submit it to the client, go back to the customer, keep me on speed dial if you need me. But he'll go in as the office manager or one of the managers and help literally sell the job on the site with the client. And after you do that 3 or 4 times, you've got really good footing of what needs to be done. And of course, if you run into something that's a little bit heavier, then, get Corey on FaceTime, say, hey, hang on, let me call my office manager. And then Corey will come in and literally stand there, Corey, the client, the homeowner, and say, okay, this is what we need to do. Corey will sell the job. And then after doing that half a dozen or, 10 times, these guys learn how to do it. And then, they'll mess up a couple, call Corey with questions, but we kind of release into the wild. No, you take this one. If you have any questions, call me from your truck. Or, hey, if you really run into something difficult, call me right on site. And then that way we know what we need to do.
So Corey really, in essence, for you for the marketing and operation stuff, but Corey, when it comes to being on site, servicing, selling jobs, he really becomes an extension of your client's restoration business there.
Yeah.
He's available to them. From what I've heard, he's available pretty much 24/7 to the clients that you got. So
but at the 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. calls, but if it's a good opportunity, Corey won't care, man. He won't care. It's 10 o'clock at night and it's a hotel. He wakes up with bells on his feet.
All right. So in terms of services, you guys are helping the new restoration company, the guy that's transitioning maybe from a different niche, whether it's plumbing, carpet cleaning and upholstery, and so on. What level of service do you primarily start those clients with versus what levels of service do you traditionally start an existing restoration company that might be more established and might already have the experience necessary to sell and deliver on the actual restoration?
So we're about 60% of people that have experience, but have only been in the business from 0 to a year.
Okay.
So carpet cleaners, contractors that want to transition, plumbers, people that, I don't know why, but we've had several people go through the course that were former financial guys. They were accountants. And we have a gentleman named Dan up in the Minneapolis area. Cold turkey, never lifted a hammer in his life. Had done taxes for so long, he wanted to get in the restoration industry and start a MIT company. And we were like, man, you're crazy. Like, just start a MIT company. You have zero experience. You know, we all know how competitive MIT is anyway. And he said, no, I want to do it. Eventually, we talked him into adding, the rebuild side, which he subbed out. And Dan was with us for quite a while. And he was just a really natural, comfortable person in front of people. But ironically, like, you know what you do, we refer a lot of people to you. We really like the Google Ads model. However, he was really good. He had no problem getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and going to plumbing supply houses and calling on plumbers. And to this day, that guy has a book of business with plumbers. He would go Christmas, he would spend several $1,000s on bourbon, give all his best customers bottles of bourbon, like just a really good people person, create a lot of relationships. And I mean, the last time we spoke to Dan, just in a business sense, he coached with us for, I think, 8 months. And then he started really getting the hang of it. Very fast learner. And we still keep in touch. I call him all the time with things about marketing because he's so creative and we bounce ideas off of each other. Awesome. But interestingly enough, I mean, I think his business now, I don't even think he's been in business 2 years. And I think he's over 2 million already. He started cold turkey with an accounting background.
Well, that kind of segues into my next question for you. But who is your ideal candidate for either a person new into the restoration business or someone that's a little bit more established that, I don't know, maybe they're looking to take their business to the next level? So can you kind of describe the average or the ideal client avatar of you guys?
I hate to say both, but so we had so many great young guys that came in as plumbers, carpenters, and things like that did super well. For us, they are the best success stories.
Okay.
But we have a company in New Jersey. It's well over $3 billion. They're on a permanent consultancy with us. They just keep us on all the time and meet with Corey and I twice a month.
Yeah.
We have another client that just rolled on. They're in North Carolina. 2 best friends, resto guys. They're in the Research Triangle Park area.
Okay.
I believe they're over $7 billion. And about 6 months ago, they kind of just said, we love you guys, but like, we're there. Like, we don't need your calls. Like, we love it, but we'd really like to just move on now, like
that's a great success story.
I know. And then we almost went into business with them. Like, we're that tight with those guys where we were looking at starting other locations, but it's 2 guys. In the end, they were literally setting up the business for potential sale. And right now, every day, Corey and I are waiting to get the phone call that they sold to private equity. So I know they're going to be cashing out soon. I just don't know how soon. So, it's just, we have everything from several million to guys that have a truck and 2 drying pieces of drying equipment. So everything in between.
There is a huge amount of private equity money moving into the restoration space. I did an interview with a longtime client of mine. His name's Scott Whitaker. He owns the Restoration One in Spokane, Washington. He just recently sold about 85% of his business into a private equity firm. They are retaining him. I'm sure he's got a very nice, cushy salary to go with that, and his family is set for life. So, all right. So we've talked about the guys that have entered the program. They've ran with it. They've had great success. Some of them are still with you. Some of them have kind of moved on and kind of growing their business on their own. Let's talk about pitfalls, though, because not everybody is successful when they get into the restoration space. So what do you think are some of the biggest pitfalls that new restoration companies fall into that keep them from getting going, getting successful, getting consistent work coming in?
They're not willing to talk to a consultant or a coach.
Okay.
I see this a lot on the resto side, but we own an estimating company too. And there's people that call us every single day with questions. And I'm like, dude, just jump in the coaching course. Or we even offer kind of ad hoc coaching. You come in with a $400,000 job and you're in on, over your head. You may not even be a client of ours, but you come in and say, hey, will you work with me on this one deal? I want to get paid. I want to make sure the insurance company pays me at the end, because we've all heard horror stories where somebody gets you a $200,000 or $300,000 job and they get a $60,000 check. So we'll even work ad hoc on a project, but we've got to help people get out of their own way. And we're we're very affordable. It's not like it's an expensive task, but I've got plenty of guys that call me with questions that won't jump in the course. And, if it's a very small percentage of the deal in the low thousands of dollars and it's a $400,000 deal, I mean, are you really losing anything? If you mess up the deal, you stand to lose a whole hell of a lot more than $1,500, So that's the biggest problem, is getting guys to understand. And I mean, our track record is phenomenal. I mean, over the years, we've lost 2 customers, one of which was for somebody that grew too much. Other people just get to the end and just say, hey, I'm good for now. I'll call you guys back with questions, which we're like, hey, call me anytime. I'm not going to say, hey, I need your credit card. You call us with questions after you go through our course. By all means, me or Corey are going to answer your question to the best of our ability. But a lot of guys just need to be willing to work and learn other methods. There's so much out there, so much organic marketing to get guys bigger. Employee retention, hiring new people. I think a lot of people tend to hire too fast before they really understand what they need, especially for managers. That's another area. I mean, occasionally we've seen guys hire people and do well with them, but I think for the most part, you have to be careful, especially right now. It seems like the last several people we've seen hired got sign-on bonuses, got company cars, got salaries that Corey and I rejected and said that's way too much. But, guys are trying to get good people and they feel like they need to pay it, which is sometimes the case. But other times, I just feel like some guys are too enthusiastic.
Okay. So making sure that you hire systematically, making sure that you're bringing on not just the right people, but at the right time. Because if you're bringing people on and that overhead, you don't have the revenue to justify that overhead will cripple a brand new business there.
So here's a perfect example. Probably office, just managers in general, but probably one of the biggest ones that we feel like people make mistakes are hiring salespeople.
Yeah.
Because they either go way too low in experience or way too low in enthusiasm, or they hire somebody that's predominantly salary, and we all know how that is. But here's a little inside kernel that Corey and I joke about, but we just had somebody, they're in Northern California, really sizable business. I think they're around $3 million, family-owned business. The mother runs the show, and they were asking on hiring a salesperson, which we were like, absolutely, you need a salesperson. They have people internally that are kind of ad hoc salespeople.
Okay.
Or they'll kind of sell, they'll do other things within the office. They might go out in the field and we're like, well, what's his title? Is he supposed to be a salesperson? Because if he's not on the phone all the time and not out in front of insurance companies' clients, then he's not really a salesperson.
Sure.
And she'd rather move him to something more technical, at which point she asked us for a job description. We have 7 different job descriptions. We gave her one. And Corey and I were both like, go find somebody that used to be a car salesman. And she's like, what do you mean? We're like, trust us. If you have somebody that has any technical ability, those guys are like bulldog hungry. Just make sure they understand construction. But if they've had the sales training in cars or used cars, they're not going to be afraid of working with commission.
Right.
They're going to be bulldogs, and they're going to come in every day and they're going to put in an honest 8 or 9 hour day. And they're going to love the money they make in resto compared to the car business. Well, so that's just one of the little things that we've done. Does it work? 98% of the time, can you get a bad apple? Sure. But in our experience, Corey and I love car guys.
All right. So in terms of best practices, one, obviously, don't be afraid to hire a coach, hire a consultant, get in a room with someone that knows this industry and knows how to grow your business better than you do, right? Yeah. The second thing is when you're hiring, hire strategically. And then your point about salespeople. It's funny that you mentioned folks coming out of the car industry, because that's an industry that's kind of up in the air right now, right? Based on a bunch of different factors. So are there any other best practices besides hiring and besides finding yourself a good coach or somebody that can kind of mentor you through starting a restaurant? Are there any other best practices that you can suggest for new restoration companies that are looking to get off the ground?
Right now, it's growth and being persistent with organic marketing. That's your own community and your own network.
Yeah.
We all feel very strongly internally that you've got to not work your own network as in your family and friends. It's not what I'm talking about. But you need to get out in the community. You need to get in front of a lot of plumbing supply houses. You need to have your act together with repeated follow-up visits with insurance companies. You need to have your organic marketing on point and getting out there in front of those clients to have that first initial phase of your business working all the time. Then once you have some of that coming in, we feel like the AdWords like you enforce that. And that's when you really start to scale and grow.
Right.
And that's when you really start to explode.
Well, the one of the things that I really like about your clients, because you in the past you've referred quite a few of your restoration clients our way, so we do appreciate that business. But I know that there's things that I don't have to worry about when it's one of your clients. I don't have to worry about them not answering the phone, right? I don't have to worry about when they answer the phone if they know how to handle a phone call, get the right information, ask the right questions. Those are things that I just don't have to worry about with you. Whereas when I bring a guy that's brand new into the restoration industry, they don't understand the value of making sure they answer that call. Whether it's at 7 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning, they need to answer those calls, especially when it comes to pay-per-click. Because if somebody's calling you, you don't answer the phone. They're not leaving a message and patiently waiting for you to get back to them. They're just going onto their browser, hitting the back button, and calling the next restoration company that comes up there. So, all right. So everybody's got I've got my favorite clients. And I'm sure you got your favorite clients that you've worked with in the past. Give me one really good success story. Besides the two guys that are doing 7 million plus in the Carolinas there. Give me that really good success story from a client that you took from 0 to 100. And it's just really been a great experience for both you and the client.
Here, I'll show you. Watch. Let's see if he's there. He left me a voicemail this morning. Delmar. Hey man, I'm on a Zoom call, so don't say anything bad. All right, so we were talking about our marketing. Remind me again, dude, how long have you been with us?
Last August.
So when you came to us, what was your revenue?
I wasn't doing anything at that point. I was really slow for me, so zero essentially.
What was your background when you came to us? Construction, or what were you actually in?
I had a background in project management, and I had a GC license, but it was like really hard for me to find jobs.
Okay.
So yeah.
So right now, like, what's your revenue right now, and what are you on target to do this year?
So I'm at like 630.
And,
I have about 400K estimates that I just got approved. So if I can do all those jobs this year, I can be close to $1 million, or I can be around 700, 800,000.
Wow. All right. What part of Atlanta are you in again? I can't remember.
We're in like the area, work around 60-mile radius in Atlanta.
Okay, cool. All right, dude. I'll give you a call later, man. I appreciate your help.
All right, later, dude. Man, that is awesome. From in revenue, last August, he's going to do probably 7 figures this year, it sounds like, if he can get the work done.
But that's why, see, like, I really like the new guys, because when they listen to us, I hate it because we sound like a get-rich-quick scheme, but, like, you could pretty much be 600, 600 or 700,000 end of year one pretty easily.
Okay.
It gives you an idea. And then if you're existing and you're already at, say, 600,000 to $1 million, you can easily tack on another 700 to $1 million on top of what you're doing in like 8 to 9 months.
That's the kind of growth these guys are looking for. I know, because I talk to them day in and day out, and they're looking to scale from doing 4 or 5 jobs a month to doing, 10 to 12 jobs a month.
Well, here, what we didn't talk about is we're going to help with organic marketing.
Okay.
All right. If they're fully licensed and properly licensed, we have everything that you're doing, plus we can help guys get on TPAs. So they're getting jobs right from the insurance companies. And then once they're doing TPA business, Corey, who's an exceptional guru with TPAs, they have POM scores, which are the performance operation metric scores. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys that are on TPAs don't realize that you're being graded on everything. And Corey is like a savant with the grading system. He helps guys keep their grades right so they keep getting more or taking business away from other contractors that don't have as good a grade for them. So Corey will help you keep your scores up to continue getting business from insurance companies, which also helps when they're getting business from you and it's the same insurance company. That way we can get the estimates going, we can get the jobs through faster. When those are some of the same insurance companies, it's a win-win. So we're helping you get business organically, your AdWords, your TPAs, And, that what that creates is almost like a 401k, where when this side of the industry is down, you're getting business here. When this is slowed down a little bit, you're still getting business here. So in my opinion, I love to use the 401k analogy. There's always part of your portfolio that's going to keep the lights on and keep paying your employees. So you're always going to have different areas that are cash flowing, sometimes more than others, but it keeps you consistent.
I have clients that tell me all the time, oh, I'd love to get away from doing that much TPA work. And I tell them, hold on a second. The TPA work is the reason that guy is not washing trucks and sweeping shop floors all day. He's actually out in the field and he's doing work.
But you could be more selective with TPA, and you can get to a point where you're getting better than the typical, say you're only getting $7,000 to $10,000 crap jobs.
Okay.
That's where your PALM score comes in, and certain different TPAs, which again, this is Corey's suit. He could say, you could drop that TPA, but stay here. And then let's work on your PALM score to help you get your revenue up with that particular TPA. It's not always that easy, but it is available. And then we can say streamline that or make it more efficient to get your numbers out in those areas if need be.
All right. A lot of value, obviously, the restoration entrepreneur can provide to anybody in the restoration space, whether they're just looking to start a restoration business, whether they're in that first year and they need to kind of get onto the right track, or you're a guy that's been in the business for a decade and just need to kind of shore up your processes and get your revenue to the next level so you can prepare for an exit. Tell folks how they would go about contacting you if they're interested in having a conversation about working together.
It's easy. www.growmyresto.com. That's growmyresto.com. The phone number is plastered all over the website, and you can always email me, Keith@growmyresto.com.
Okay, we got a fancy video guy that'll drop that information on there so everybody else.
That's fine. That's fine.
Keith, I really appreciate you jumping on. We're going to do a second part to this interview for those that are interested, talking about another business that Keith's involved with, which is Estimation Pros, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second. But for those that stuck around, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe. The Restoration Pros Unplugged. We'll be back with some additional interviews, insight with restoration entrepreneur professionals like my guy Keith here. Until then, folks, stay safe, stay dry, and stay busy. Thank you all. Thanks, Keith.
Thank you for listening to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. If you like what you heard today, be sure to subscribe, share, and also leave us a 5-star review. We'll be back with more interviews and discussions with restoration industry leaders really soon. In the meantime, if you're a restoration company looking to add more high-value water jobs, you can reach me and my team at waterrestorationmarketing.net. Again, that's waterrestorationmarketing.net. I look forward to hearing from you soon.